Hi there, today's game is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. As you know, this game continues the story from Marvel's Spider-Man and Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. So let's quickly look back at what happened before. Miles wants to apply for a college and seeks advice from his teacher who also happens to be Spider-Man. Peter introduces himself along with his girlfriend journalist Mary Jane and his beloved Aunt May. He also shares how he became Spider-Man. Peter talks about his former mentor Dr. Octavius, whose lab was shot down by his old colleague Norman Osborn. Seeking revenge, Otto released a dangerous bioweapon into the city. In the end, Peter stopped him, but it came at a heavy cost. Meanwhile, Miles is just 17, studying at the academy and enjoying the early stages of his life. We also meet his mother Rio Morales, a councilwoman. Miles tells us about his close friend who is an artist, and like Peter, he shares his own story of how he became a Spider-Man. Along the way, we see his past enemy Martin Lee, known as Mr. Negative, and the man responsible for killing Miles' police officer father. And with all of this behind them, new story begins.
Yeah, why don't you just start another draft?
Now let's go back to what happened 2 years ago. Osborn's son Harry stands in front of the symbiote. He asks Norman to promise that if the process doesn't work, he will take the Harry down. But Norman replies, "I can't lose you, I won't let you go," and sends the symbiote toward him. Fast forward to the present day, Peter has started working at the same college where Miles studies. During the lesson, Miles notices some strange dust. He asks for permission to go to the bathroom, but soon after he comes back and asks Peter for help. The whole class laughs at him, then both of them head to the rooftop where it looks like Marco, the Sandman, is trying to destroy the city. Both Spider-Men swing into action. On the way, MJ updates us on Marco's location. As you know, she is a journalist and gathers valuable information. When we arrive, Sandman immediately hurls objects at us, while the game teaches at basic controls. We land right on his head, but Sandman grabs us and throws into an apartment. Spider-Man runs through the building and he saves several people trapped inside. Marco also sends mini sand creatures after us, introducing the combat mechanics. While the battle rages on, the school principal calling Peter for skipping class. Peter quickly makes an excuse saying he just forgot something in his car. Around this time, the game shows us Peter's spider barrage ability, which works like Venom Punch in Miles. Peter saves himself, but Marco punches him again. It seems that game wants to introduce Miles as an important character to us. We can see Miles will save Peter's as along the game. At this moment, Miles helps by clearing away the smaller sand enemies and striking Sandman with his Venom powers. Next, the game teaches us how to use web shooters. We blind Sandman by waving his eyes, then strike him repeatedly. Sandman retaliates by throwing Miles too, setting up another intense sequence. Miles punches him once more and his friend Genki sends over the location of a full water tank they can use against Marco. Finally, after another round of fighting, we manage to spill the water on his face. In a desperate attempt, Marco creates a giant tornado, flinging us across the city. At this point, the game introduces the web wings, allowing us to glide back toward him. After battling more sand clones, Peter and Miles combine their strength to finally take Sandman down. Soon after, we see Marco's fist striking one last time inside the cabin before he disappears. The story jumps 6 months back. There is a man named Craven in jungle, easily defeats a muscular opponent and gets the map of New York. Here we realize that everything we have just played was only the game's prologue. The city still suffers from the damage Sandman caused and the spider app no longer to work. With the city's network down, Genki sends us a location to build our network so people can access the app again. Fun fact, Genki actually dreamed up this app in 7th grade but only finished it at the last 2 minutes. Once we arrive at the location, we print and release a drone to get powerful signals, restoring the network for using the app. At this stage, the game also introduces the skill tree for both Spider-Man. Abilities include moves like knocking down 3 enemies at once or unleashing powerful attacks against bosses. I choose to boost Peter's skills first, Miles will be next. Of course, criminals are already taking advantage of the city's weakened state and Spider-Man must stop them. The game shows us gadget upgrades to like enhancing the web shots. Other upgrades need to be unlocked with the help of the side missions by finding parts. After another crime fight, Genki updates the app with new features. This time we switch over to Miles. Like Peter, Miles is tasked with restoring the signal. He discovers a 3D printer, creates a drone and reconnects the network. Soon after, he stops another crime and during the boss battle, the game requires us to land a strong Venom Punch, clearly part of the tutorial. Later we receive a message through the app and rescue people trapped in a fire. There we find a strange crystal. When we examine it, mini sand creatures spawn and we have to defeat them. Then MJ calls, explaining that Marco's mind is fractured. The crystal is a reflection of his subconscious. Miles shatters it to weaken him. Peter calls next, telling us that a VIP is trapped in a limo. Miles rushes over, defeats the gang nearby and saves J. Jonah Jameson. Meanwhile, the principal calls Peter again. Peter pretends the signal cuts out and hacks up. He can't believe he actually pulled it off. Next we meet Genki and Heidi, Miles' friend who is an artist and hearing impaired. At school the kids watch Peter get fired by the principal. After that the game starts introducing side missions. Miles calls telling us we need to destroy more crystals in different areas. We also unlock photo missions. Doing these side tasks is necessary to unlock the next main mission. Finally, after taking down criminals and breaking another crystal, the main story moves forward. On the way to the destination, MJ calls, but Peter doesn't tell her that he was fired. Instead he scolds himself, saying the only thing worse than losing your job is telling your girlfriend you lost it. Back at the house, we open the door for MJ. She immediately notices something is off with Peter and asks what's wrong. Peter finally admits he got fired. MJ sighs, well, maybe I will be joining you. J. Jonah Jameson said if I don't write the front page, I will be fired too. Peter reassures her, reminding her she is the best journalist they have. When they step inside, Peter tries to excuse the messy apartment. As we look around, we see he owes a lot of money to the bank. Peter tries to tidy up and we also find an old photo with the word balance written on it. When we visit the place where the photo was taken, a flashback begins. Peter is listening to the radio. It is the moment he first discovered his powers. He accidentally smashes into the wall. Aunt May walks in. Peter quickly lies, saying he thought there was a mouse. Then May tells a story. She was once head of the soccer club and second violin in the orchestra. But when she tried too hard to be the top student, she failed. She realized she wasn't great at everything and that balance is what truly matters. As she paints the wall, she turns it into a masterpiece. Back in the present, MJ tells Peter that some prisoners will soon be transferred to Ravencroft. She leaves by saying, I will find out who they are. But then she screams because she's just seen Harry. Harry greets Peter, offering condolences for Aunt May. It seems he is still healing. Before leaving, MJ agrees to have lunch tomorrow night. After that, Peter goes for a ride with Harry. On the way, Harry talks about his recovery. She has memories from the old days. Until they arrive at the school they once studied in. They had been working on a project together, but Harry's laptop broke. To save their work, they needed a backup flash drive from Peter's locker. The guards didn't allow them in, so their only option sneak inside. Since this was early in Peter's Spider-Man days, his web shooters weren't reliable. He distracted the guards first, then fixed the web shooter in the lab and set off. Back in the prison, Peter and Harry play basketball, and once again we dive into a flashback. Peter manages to reach his locker and gets the flash drive. But when he opens it, the real reason Harry brought him there becomes clear. Just then, a guard busts them. Peter remembers his power slips over a wall but drops the flash drive from his pocket. The guards call the police. Peter distracts them, sneaks back and grabs the flash drive from an officer's pocket. In the end, Harry distracts everyone by singing into a megaphone.
I just want to tell you how I'm feeling.
Damn it! You're in the office!
As they escape, Norman suddenly arrives in a helicopter. He speaks to Harry and one thing becomes clear. Harry's mother likely died of illness. Before leaving, Harry gives Peter an accreditation card and suggests visiting the lab. The scene closes with Harry's words, we will heal the world. The next day, Craven and his team arrive in the city. It's also the day when prisoners are set to transfer from the raft to Ravencroft. Meanwhile, Miles is applying to college when Peter calls him for help with this prisoner transport. At the same time, Miles' mom Rio wants him to meet someone. But first, Miles heads to the raft. After finishing a few side missions, we finally reach the raft. Here, Scorpion goes after Martin Lee, the man responsible for Miles' father's death. When Miles sees Martin Lee, he loses control and bursts with electricity. Peter manages to calm him down, but time runs out. Craven arrives with his army. There are no ordinary enemies, dual knives, helicopters, heavy weapons. The battle is brutal and the ship starts to sink. In the chaos we manage to save Scorpion, but then Scorpion strikes us. Miles begins to see hallucinations. He faces a choice, revenge or saving innocent lives. To make sure the same tragedy doesn't happen again, Miles chooses to save the people. And with that, the mission ends and I boosted Miles' skills.